So I very rarely have time to play new video games. I'm usually always, if I'm gaming, have time to play video games. I always just kind of get into Call of Duty multiplayer, or sometimes I'll get to play Mortal Kombat 11, or recently I downloaded Rocket League, which I'm not very good at, so, don't invite me to play Rocket League. But I did get the chance to play the new Outriders demo with a friend of mine, and yeah, I have some thoughts about that. So let's break that down and talk about it. So first up, have I played this before? This game feels awfully familiar. It reminds me of a combination of games, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. It reminds me of Halo, Gears of War. It reminds me of Destiny for sure. And then one of my friends said that it reminds me of The Division. So I'm thinking, out of all those, is that a good combination to make a game off of, or is it just another clone of a game that we're already familiar with and we're going to get bored with? Nothing new to add, to this genre of games. Now, I do want to discuss the story because I understand that the overall premise of the game is we have people that have escaped Earth to colonize a new planet, and then they are after some type of beacon that has been scattered about the planet, and they're trying to reach it because it could hold the, truth and hold the key to saving humanity. But, they're on an alien planet, and there's these, weird storms that happen that cause them to either get erased, or they get powers, and then they have all these other alien creatures that have been living on this planet with all this storms that they call the anomaly that have happened. And so it's just kind of a weird premise, and I think it works to some degree. After playing the demo, I don't know that it exactly stays consistent, because there was an awful lot of times for the dialogue, and even as I was talking to my friend, I just thought the story is kind of confusing. Like, I don't understand what we're really doing, and I don't understand what the story is trying to achieve overall. Now, I know in the demo it's a very small view and window of what's really going on in the bigger picture, and I did watch the trailer, so I understand that this game is supposed to be, an ever-growing, open world experience where you're going to see other worlds and see other parts of the map and et cetera, et cetera. And you'll meet new characters, and it's going to expand the story. But from just what I've played, the story, I think, is a little bit convoluted and maybe needs a little bit of polish. So let's talk about the gameplay. So starting off with the main story missions. So basically, you go talk to somebody, they discuss what you need to do, you go on a mission, and you're going to, start at the main base, and then you get transported to somewhere you need to go, and as you start walking around, you see these people you need to shoot, so you have all these cover points, so you can kind of duck and cover and shoot and duck and cover as you move around, and that works for the most part. I mean, after a while, I can see how this is going to be more, it makes me feel like Destiny as far as kind of repetitiveness on how to accomplish missions, but I think it works overall. You do experience, same basic type of enemies that you can shoot and kill, and then you have some special ones like people that have flamethrowers, and other ones that kind of run at you with huge wrenches. So there are characters that are in the enemy classes that are a little bit more difficult than others. So that does make it a little bit more interesting. You do have loot boxes, which is kind of a common theme. You can change your gear and appearance, and you can level up weapons and level up your gear. So that's something that we've already kind of seen in other games. And then we also have bosses, which I guess kind of reminds me of like the Halo aspect. The one boss that you really get to play against, he is pretty interesting and challenging, which is cool. But it's just because, like I said, going back to the story part, I know that he's a version of the Altered, and he's not necessarily a good guy, but I don't necessarily understand how we got to that point when we haven't really fully understand what the Altered is or the Anomaly. Now, talking about side quests, there are some side quests that you can do, so you'll interact with certain people on the main map, or the main, home base, that allows you to do certain things. So you go meet somebody who has a shop who gets killed, and then you go do a side mission to take down the person that had him killed. You also run into a girl who's been wounded, and you go try to find the person that wounded her or left her for dead. So there's stuff like that, and it's the same mechanics as far as gameplay, as far as you go down certain routes and you obviously fight the same duck, cover, shoot with a certain kind of enemies. So it's the same kind of concept, but then again, reminds me more of Destiny and Halo as well, where that's going to get kind of old, I think, over time, unless they make it, something a little different with all these different type of enemies. So next thing I want to talk about, now that we talked about the gameplay, is this game's kind of hard. At least I think it is. Now, I'm not a pro gamer, but I don't think of myself as a complete amateur. I've been playing video games for a while, and I know how I do in Call of Duty, and I know how I've done in Destiny and even Halo. But yeah, one of my friends tried to play this game supposedly by himself, and he said that he was able to do it, and I called BS because I was not able to get very far by myself. And even when I had one of my other friends play with me throughout the whole demo, There were a couple of times we had to do it over and over and over again till we got it right because it was that difficult. And we were supposedly playing on the easiest level. So I don't know if they're intentionally doing that just to kind of show you how difficult the game can be. And that obviously will lead to more game time for this game. But I think that they need to maybe alter the tiers just a little bit. I know for me personally, given I don't have a whole lot of time to play video games, if I can't even get past multiple levels multiple times, I'm going to get frustrated and bored and just move on to another game. You know, I know everybody's a little bit different, and so you'll keep trying and trying to do it, but I think it shouldn't be that hard. Especially if it's supposed to be a single player game first, then co-op. Next thing I want to talk about, let's talk about the graphics. Now, I understand that I'm playing the PlayStation 4 version. This game will release also on PlayStation 5 as well as Xbox. And I just find it really weird that even in 2021, we still are having video games that feel like games that we saw back in the day. Early days of PlayStation 4, even days of PlayStation 3. When it comes to the hair, the face, the cinematic trailer, even like the cinematic cutscenes aren't even that much better than what you actually do in the actual gameplay, which I find crazy. I mean, looking at games like Mortal Kombat and some of the games that have been around on PlayStation 4, why is it that we can't get to a level where the graphics are just a little bit better? I mean, this game is from Square Enix, so I mean, you were telling me that this company does not have the graphic technology to do that? Final Fantasy games look better than this. I'm just saying. There are a couple glitches that I saw, which of course this is demo, so I'm thinking it's like pre-production. Like there's a couple scenes where I saw like when you're going to one of the beacons to try to find the coordinates, there's like flowers sticking out of it, not intentional. And there's just some other glitches I saw, but like, stuff I'd come to expect in a demo. I know people are like, golly, Justin, you're nitpicking the graphics, but for a game that's gonna be $60, you're gonna be trying to probably do season passes and buying extra content for it. I think you can get your money's worth. And with other games out there that are, I think, a little bit higher quality, I think they need to step it up a little bit. So I did want to mention about repeat gameplay because I think with the quests that will help the gameplay continue on. But as I said, I think it's going to be repetitive as far as what you're doing all the time, which is a big complaint of Destiny. Like you're repeating the same thing over and over again, going to the same levels, going to the same enemies, just to come out to the same outcome. So nothing too unique, even though it's something that you're going to want to do to get extra gear and extra money to buy other things. But I think it's something that they need to hopefully think about, especially since this game feels like it's based off of 4 or 5 other games. I would hope that they've done their notes correctly and that they know that they're going to have to kind of step it up to make it more unique, because the story and the premise is not enough to keep that going. But I would hope that they really focus on repetitive gameplay if they want to make sure this game continues for a long time. So given all that I've talked about, if I had to give this game a rating just based off of the demo, I would give it 2.5 out of 5. Well, I did enjoy playing with one of my friends. We haven't had to play a co-op game in a long time. I do think based off of the story, which I think is a little bit confusing, the graphics, the gameplay mechanics, and just the repetitiveness, I would give it 2.5 out of 5. It's very, very familiar than other games we've already played, so to me it doesn't really stick out in my mind. And yeah, I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with my ratings. What are your thoughts if you've played the Outriders demo? And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. For videos like this one, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. And I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.